Jim, our Hail Mary question of the day is, was Walter Payton the greatest running back of all time in your opinion? And if he wasn't, who was?
I don't think Walter was just a running back. Walter was just a great football player. He might have been the best football player of all time. Just as he was a complete player. He could run, he could throw, he could kick, he could block. He did it all, and he did it all with a passion. I mean, the guy hated to be tackled. When I first got to Chicago, our O line wasn't too good, and I don't know how he lasted 7 years prior to me getting there with what we had going on. And he used to I'd hand him the ball and watch him make, like, a 30-yard run that only gained a yard because he'd bounce from sideline to sideline and he just did not wanna be tackled. And, still the strongest guy to this day that I've ever met. He's probably about 5'10", maybe 205, 8 pounds, something like that, but just every part of that man was muscle and strength, and, he had a great heart, was not gonna give up, and it was a lot of fun to play with him.
You would name him the greatest football player of all time above even maybe Tom Brady?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Brady was a hell of a quarterback, but that's all he could do. I don't think he could block or maybe he can kick and do all that stuff, but, he could, not even close.
One of the things that people have talked about was he never got to score a touchdown in the Super Bowl. And what were your thoughts about that? Do you have thoughts about it during the game? It's 40 years ago, but what are your thoughts after?
No, I wasn't thinking about it during the game. I wasn't thinking about it after the game or the next couple of years. I didn't really know that he was that upset until after I retired. I was talking to Matt Suey, who was probably his best friend on our team, our fullback, and then his son Jarrett. They said, yeah, he was really bummed about it, and I couldn't understand why because the game was a blowout. Uh, I scored 2 times. The first time I scored, it was either me or Walter, and it was an option play, and they ran towards him, so I had to turn it up. Uh, we he carried the ball, I think, 27 times in the game, and we gave it to him down out near the goal line. But if you remember, the New England's whole mantra that whole week, we stop 34, we win. And so everybody was keyed in on Walter, and that's why everybody else on our team had success because they were so worried about 34. I think we coulda gave it to him 100 times. I don't think he woulda got in just because of that was their whole deal, and we stopped 34, we win. And, it was unfortunate that he didn't get a score, but it didn't really matter. The game was a blowout. I would have loved to throw for 2 or 3 touchdowns rather than run them in, but that's just the way it went, and unfortunately, he didn't get a score, but it didn't diminish the greatness of the man.